Alright, this is a piece of material that we're making the cylinders out of. I didn't record this originally, so all it is just a piece of half-inch stock that I had cut down to half-inch width and cleaned
Alright, we're
everything
going to
up.
start on the cylinders today.
So this is what
So
we'll
the
be
cylinders,
making the cylinders out.
just half-inch aluminum bar stock. The cylinders are probably the most complicated pieces to make. There's a lot of different machining operations. So I had already squared this up. This was originally 5/8, and I had squared it up down to half-inch, and put it in the 4-jaw chuck. And we got to turn the piece down. It just has to be on an offset. It's centered across one plane, but then the other plane it's offset by a 1/16 of an inch. So I got this. I used the dial indicator and got this running pretty much right there. Let's see here. This is right about here. Let's see if I can get anything here. So that, and then about it's about a thou off, so close enough. And then the other side is centered. That's just about 30 there, and just about 30 there. So we're very close, a little less than a thou. And all right, so this is gonna get drilled and reamed for a 1/4 inch bore, and got to do some turning. Turn this down to 3/8 diameter, and I believe it's 25-30 seconds or something like that long. So those are the operations we're going to start on, and then after that we have some other stuff we got to go over to the mill and perform. So all right, I'll bring you back when we get set up to start drilling. Okay, so I already center drilled this, and I got my 17/64 drill bit in there, I believe. And then I'm going to come back and I'll ream that with 1/4 inch reamer. And so we'll get started. Alright, I just double checked my plans. I'm glad I did. I said 25-30 seconds, but 25-30 seconds is the amount that has to get turned down. The actual bore itself is got to be 2 inches. So what I went ahead and did is so I went ahead and did is set the depth gauge here 2 inches, and I just put one of these little spring clamps on the drill bit, so I'll just drill till it gets to that clamp. So get back to drilling. Alright, so we're going to start turning this down. This has got to go down to a 3/8 diameter. So it's going to be an interrupted cut for a little bit. I already made one pass on this. So All right, let's get going. Okay, so we got about another 15 thousandths to go on this. So yeah, it's got to get down to 375. So just under 15 thousandths to go. Alright, looks like we got to go a little bit more because we didn't take that whole round out yet. So, you know, that's not a continuous cut yet. So we're at 377. So let's go another couple of thou now. It's almost right there, so let's see. 376. That was only a thou I took. Okay, this should do it. Well, that was a continuous cut, and let's see, might have went down below the 375 we were aiming for. Ooh. $374 thousandths off. Close enough. All right. So I got to make another one of these just like it. And when I get the second one made, we'll turn our attention over to the milling machine, where we'll probably complete the rest of the operations on this. So before I take this out, I just want to verify this is 25-30 seconds. So, and let's just take a look. Okay, looks good. All right, we'll see you back in a little bit. All right, so here we are. Did the second one. So these are two identical, well, close to identical pieces. They came out pretty close. So there's some milling here that we got to do. We got to some drilling, some milling, and all right. So I'm gonna also have to mark these and keep track of these when I make the piston. They're gonna be fitted to each cylinder, so you want to keep track of which piston goes into which cylinder. So that's something to keep in mind for later. All right, we'll bring you back in a little while when we get everything set up in the mill. I want to give some thought to the order of operations that we have to complete the next steps in. Don't want to paint ourselves into a corner, so to speak. So, all right, see you in a little while. All right, so I labeled the cylinders. One is A and one is B, so they don't get mixed up. And I got to drill a hole, 9/32 hole, 5/16 deep, and then take that bit out and go through all the way with an 1/8" drill bit. So I'm going to start with a center drill. I use my edge find to locate the center. And I got my stop. So once I drill this, I'll put the other cylinder in and just put it up against the stop, and everything will be all set up for me to go. Alright, so I made a bit of a mistake here. I had bored the cylinder 2 inches deep, and it should have only been 1 625 thousandths, 1 5/8. So when the 2-inch mark was where this pivot hole is located, which I just drilled through. So that actually broke into the bottom of the cylinder bore. So rather than redoing this whole piece, I just took another piece of aluminum and made a plug that I'll fit into the bottom, and I'll Loctite in there, and that'll stop at 1 5/8 deep from the top. All right, so that's my attempt at fixing this rather than remaking this whole piece. Chances are I'm never going to run this on steam anyway, so it's going to be compressed air. So I think the Loctite will just be fine. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll have to come back and drill this back down again after the Loctite sets. Well, let's see how that works. Okay, so I got it all cleaned up. See, the brake parts clean. It took off all my Dicom blue there. And okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some of the permanent type Loctite on there. Don't need much at all. And this is set for a depth of 1.625, 1 5/8. So it's just stuck on a burr there. And okay. Alright, so it's the next day. I gave this plenty of time for the Loctite to cure. And so I got that little plug that I made, fitted in there, Loctited it, and I went ahead and I did this one already. And this is the 9/32 hole, and I just ran that down with a 9/32 drill bit, and I just took a 9/32 end mill, and I just flattened out the bottom of that hole a little bit, and that hole is 5/16 of an inch deep down. So bring it over to the mill, and we'll go ahead and get started on this one. so yeah, I know what everybody's gonna say. You got an end mill in a regular Jacobs type chuck. Um, I'm just gonna spot that. It's only aluminum, and I'm just gonna flatten out the bottom of that hole um, instead of having the 118 or 135, whatever angle this drill bit is. Um, I'll just flatten it out so the spring will have something flat to sit on. So. That's it. That's all I needed to do. Alright, so we're back again. Alright, so now this piece is turned over. As you remember before, this was like this. I just moved the table over. So now I'm going to drill a 1/16 of an inch hole, inch and 5/8 from the edge here. So I'm going to start with my center drill and follow it up with a 1/16 of an inch drill bit. Alright, so I got to put a 45-degree chamfer across here. Now I don't have any chamfering end mills, so I come up with this idea. I'm using my 3C collet block that I made, and got a 3/8 collet in there, which is grabbing this part, and I tightened that down, and I got a couple of parallels just to shim it up for the right height, so I know that I can keep this surface parallel. And just as a double check, I just ran my surface gauge around here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this whole thing in my mill with a couple of V blocks like this. And I'll have that up on some parallels, and I could run an end mill down this side and flip it over and hit that side, and well, let's see how that works out. I'll get this set up in the mill, and I'll bring you guys back. Okay, so this is what I came up with. You know, it's just a lightweight piece of aluminum here. I just put this toe clamp down on there, just supporting that a little bit. So I'm hoping that'll keep this from deflecting downward. Nothing really to put this to go side to side, but like I said before, I'm just going to take some light cuts on this. So I got 4 edges to do. It's a nice sharp end mill. So, all right, let's get going here. The moment of truth. So, and I'm just gonna make a real light pass first. And I just want to do one more thing before we continue on. I just want to set my stop on the table, so I don't run my end mill into the end of that collet block. So I'll take another 30 seconds and save myself grief. Okay, so now it's physically impossible for me to run that end mill into the block. All right, so let's continue on here. See if I could do this without disrupting everything here. That was only 90 degrees. I think I said 180 before. So, okay. Back up and double check. Just want to double check my stop. Okay, let me move that a little bit. So okay. So we got this, we got a mill flat on this side and on the other side. Got it laid out. So I'm just gonna, I gotta take off 96 thousandths down and just make a notch back and forth in there. So I'm just gonna bring it right down a couple thousandths at a time. And I got the two stops for the x-axis set, so I'll just go back and forth. Probably I'll go back and forth in the Y direction, chop that out, then move it over and come back and clean up the length of that slot, or yeah, slot. Okay, so we're back. We got the piece in the vise here, and all right. So we got to take about 75 thousandths off of this now. So what we'll do is we'll zero out our digital readout here, and so we got to come down 75 thousandths. So let's get started. so we got to take a 10 thousandths of an inch cut out of here for a distance of 5/8. So let's get to it. Alright, so gotta come down 3/8 of an inch, and they don't give you any dimension how far to come in here. So actually they don't give you dimensions for this depth either. According to the drawing, it's a little bit more than 5/16, so I'm gonna go 3/8 of an inch. It's not a critical measurement apparently, so let's go.
Alright, it looks like I lost some of the footage at the end, and this also shows the angles that I trimmed off for clearance on the bottom of the cylinders. So these are just a couple of pictures of the cylinders pretty much completed. This will pretty much wrap up the cylinder video. So both the cylinders are done, and we'll move on to another part, possibly the column, on the next video.